right, team-based. Let's we're kind of in the home stretch here. This is the last thing that we talked about in the model. David, what do you mean by team-based?
So, Pete, everything we've talked about, from an individual perspective, think about putting that within a team environment and understanding, as a team, that Pete works and thinks a certain way. So if Pete is heads down, I'm not going to be texting him. So it's understanding that from an emotional connection perspective
Mm-hmm.
and respecting how each individual is highly effective, and then how does that work together to make the team effective.
Mm-hmm.
So, within your team, getting that all dialed in as you're working virtually, and then start having those conversations with other team members as well in other teams,
Right.
to understand, and they may not even think about some of the things that make them effective. So now
Yeah.
you have an opportunity to share some of the secrets and techniques that you've refined
Mm-hmm.
and help them, because this is all a new process for a lot of individuals out there, and just recognizing that there is going to be some people that are anxious about it.
Yeah, and so that's tailoring to the individuals. And then the other thing I would add into the whole concept of team-based is, how do you still collaborate as teams? And so,
Mm-hmm.
something that I've seen work really, really well when we've done some of our workshops and things is, especially, if it's something that extends over multiple days, where you have a touch point and you review the work that needs to be done, and then you say, okay, who's got this, and let's put 2 or 3 people on it. Especially, it depends on how meaty the task is, right? Because sometimes it's just a task, you knock it off the list, it takes 20, 30, 40 minutes, and boom, 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 and it's done. You just cross it off. But sometimes it's, go figure this out, go create a process, go do whatever that has a little bit more complexity to it, and make it a team exercise. And so, okay, team, when would you like to come back with your results or your recommendation? And so you might imagine 24 hours later, you're going to have a brief touch point to understand progress, right? That's some of the structural things we talked about before. You still have a progress review. And then you back off and you let them say, okay, so they set up their own Zoom call or phone call or whatever to work out the details. But you don't have to do that. Just as it would be if you were in a conference room and said, okay, this is what has to happen next. You 3 take care of this one and update me tomorrow. And they would just go huddle around someone's desk. But in this case, it's not, it's not huddling around someone's desk. It's, over a phone. So with that in mind, it's funny, we're just talking about environments, and I forgot to mention I was recording a podcast today. So I just had a visitor delivering my mail. I just got this huge box in the mail for my workshop. That's all next week. So sorry about the distraction, but that's exactly what we're talking about. This is the virtual workshop. I just got this box, in the mail through FedEx, rather than flying out to Seattle, right? So bingo. So I thank you to my wife for delivering that very quietly, by the way. So team-based, David, what else is missing team-based?
Well, I think, as a team also, we talked about using the collaboration tools. We
Yes.
talked about Zoom. We talked about phone calls. What are the other forms of communication that the team finds very effective? My daughter just had an assignment. They're off for the next 2 weeks. The schools have said, no, we're going to shut them down for the next 2 weeks. So kids, we may assign you projects.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter just got a project, and she has to, within a team, put together, develop the project, and deliver it back to the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything about Zoom, but she said, oh, we can FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
You can FaceTime multiple people.
Yep.
And, collaborate on there.
Right.
And then she said, oh, and we're going to use Google Docs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you, if you have children, ask them how they collaborate virtually, because a lot of them have figured that out. It's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, we just had, those of you who know me personally, I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, right? So there's a lot of us. And, I've got a brother in England, and we, all of a sudden the phones start buzzing on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it was, on this weekend. And it was a group Facebook Messenger call. And so there we all were, right? So in fact, not everyone was available because it was unplanned, unscheduled in this particular case. But I think there were 5 or 6 of us on the line. There you are on your phone. Your phone's this big, and you just have 6 little boxes, there on the phone, which is perfect, right? And so we had a 10-minute check-in. Hey, how's everyone doing? By the way, Sophie's birthday. Happy birthday, Sophie. That kind of thing, right? So it was really an easy way. So FaceTime, Messenger, WhatsApp, all of these things are very functional. They all work. You can jump on and use them all. You don't necessarily need to use Zoom, although there's a Zoom app for your phone too, right? So you can do that. And my son just had a meeting with our financial advisor who's coaching him on some of the money management techniques for him now that he's graduated from high school and is out there in the working world. So, and with that in mind, they had a Zoom call, right? And it was powerful, very, very simple. And Nick was on his phone. That's the point. Nick was on his phone. So that was to replace an in-person meeting. It's happening. It's happening every day. If you haven't been doing it yet, know that you can. Know that you can still be productive. Know that your team can still be efficient. They can still kind of meet their team collaboration, human contact needs through video type ways. And hopefully some of these other tips that we shared today can work for you as well.